Hey YouTube, what's up? Chris from Versus 3D at 3D Printing Canada. You wanted a print video? I have a print video for you. Let's look at some prints on the T-Rex 3. All right, so as you can see, I have a bunch of things printed here. Now, the T-Rex, if you go back and watch the previous T-Rex 3 video, you'll see that it has a bunch of different modes. I didn't super talk about them in that video because I wanted to talk about them in this video. So, first thing I did is I printed a benchy. Benchy because this is actually the test print that came on the SD card. First company that I've ever seen do that. I can't say the first company that's ever done it because I don't know that for a fact, but first company I've ever seen. And here it is, and it came out great. So there was no calibration, it was a pre-sliced G-code file, done. We wanted to get a little bit more creative here. So, who doesn't love Stan Lee? I love Stan Lee. Anyway, found this model, I believe, on my Mini Factory, and just wanted to slice my own file. So let's take a quick look at the screencast and I'll show you what I did, and then you can watch it print. Oh, exciting, I know. Take a look. Okay guys, here we are in Simplify 3D. I've imported the model already. This is Stan Lee. Take a look at him here real quick. All right. So let's go to the process here. Now we're just doing the first single left-hand side extruder here. So I have mine named after Transformers, as you probably all well know. T-Rex is Grimlock, so here we go. Single left. So we're going to do this at 0.2 millimeter layer height, 5 top, 5 bottom, 2 shells. I always do my first layer height just a little bit thicker, just so I get really nice adhesion on the bottom. I am going to add supports, and I always use a brim, and I'm going to run this at 70. So let's take a look. I'm going to actually let it auto-generate supports because this model doesn't really need many supports, so what it provides will be okay. So we've got that going. I'm going to prepare it to print. And here we go. Here's what we have here. So it's just popping these supports in down here. A little bit here, a little on his face, and that's okay. I'm gonna exit out of here for a second again, just so you can see the supports, the way they're set up. Actually, you should bump this up a little bit. I typically go support infill at 30%, and the extra inflation distance doesn't need to be quite that high, so we'll put that at 0.6. And whenever I use a 0.4 millimeter nozzle, I usually find it's okay to do vertical and upper and lower separation at 1 layer. And I don't particularly enjoy using dense support layers. I have a really difficult time pulling them off. So let's go back and we'll reslice that. And here we go. So let's take a top view and we'll run through the slice real quick. And we'll just speed through this a little bit. You can see where it's putting the supports in there. Right there, just in case you didn't see. And we'll keep going. All right, that looks great. And there we have standard left only extruder mode. All right, and it is a dual extruder machine, so I suppose I would be not doing this machine any justice if I didn't show you a dual print. Now, keep in mind, I didn't super calibrate the machine, so there's a little color bleeding in the print, but here we go. Ta-da! 2-color print. I also used an ooze shield and a prime pillar. There's a difference between a prime pillar and a purge block. A purge block is just something you would see on something that's multi-material or something that prints with 2 colors out of the same nozzle. Prime pillar, all this does is when one extruder stops and the next extruder moves out to print, before it starts to print, it actually just runs a little square and fills it in, so it primes the nozzle, the filament's moving, and then it just jumps right over and starts the print. So it helps. So did that with these. You can see my ooze shield had a bunch of goo in there. That would have been on the print if I didn't use this. And here we go. But I'll show you how I slice that right here. Okay guys, here we are with the Bulbasaur, and we are going to do our first dual extrusion print with the T-Rex. So I've already imported the models. Now you can see this is 2 models. So here's part 1 and part 2. Now, for those of you who don't know, in Simplify 3D, there's a great trick to align these models. So you can actually go up under Edit, and you can do Align Selected Model Origins. But I only had one selected, so that was dumb. So again, we'll do Align Selected Model Origins, and it puts them exactly where they're supposed to be. Now, there's a shortcut to that. If you hold down Shift and click Center and Arrange, it does the same thing as long as you have all the models selected. So there you go. Neat trick. It took me about a year before I learned that one, so you're welcome. Anyway, so here's Bulbasaur. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use both extruders on this. So I'm going to add my first process, and it's going to be Grimlock, as I already said, Transformers. Yep. So Grimlock left dual is going to be 1. I don't want to save those changes. And then we're going to select the models. And I'm going to select the body. And now I'm going to add a second process, right dual, and I'm going to select just the detail. Okay, so now just quickly before I do anything else, I'm going to show you how that works. So if I hit Prepare to Print, I select both processes, and right now it's just showing you the feature type. Now I'm going to change it to Active Toolhead. So you can see, very simply, the left extruder is going to be printing in, well, what is on screen as blue, and the right extruder will be printing what's on screen as green. So you'll probably notice this guy back here. This is not a purge block. Do not get it confused with multi-material devices that print out of the same nozzle. This is a prime pillar. Kind of the same thing, but not really. What I do is I have the prime pillar set up, so when the extruders switch, what it does is it just prints a little block, or it just prints one little layer on this block just to prime the nozzle because it's been sitting. So I want that filament flowing nicely before it actually starts to go over and start my print. So let's go back out. And we'll just show you. So we're going to do the same thing, 15% infill. We're going to do it the same thing with the 0.2 millimeter layer height, 5 top and bottom layers, 2 shells, and all that good stuff. Speeds, we'll do the same thing at 70. And we'll go back, prepare to print. And here we go. Let's get a top view going. And I will show you again. This time I'm just going to speed through it. So you can see it's printing both colors 1 layer at a time. But right now you notice that over here, it's only printing in the blue. That's because there's no green. So it's only printing with the left extruder for these layers, not the right extruder. And we'll keep going. And then as soon as we get back to a point where it's got to print in 2 color again, you'll see that that switches back right there. So now it's starting his shell here, so it's going back to the other side too. And there he is. All right, the next mode that I want to talk about is really cool, which is one of the major features that drew me to this machine ages ago. So this is duplicate mode. What you basically do, and I will show you in a second, but you set up your slicing profile and you basically cut your bed in half. One extruder moves over and then they move in unison and they make the same print twice. So you can see on the right, which is tool 0, I printed an owl. On the left, which is tool 1, I printed an owl. They're the same, except they're different colors. This one's black, this one's blue. You get the difference, right? Anyway, so that's actually super easy to do, and I will show you how to do that right now, and then right after that, you can watch a time lapse of the print. Okay guys, here we are. Now we are going to do something really cool. This is called Ditto mode. So what I'm going to do is I've already dropped the model in place, so I don't have any process set up yet, so I'm going to add a process. This time I'm going to go to Grimlock Ditto. And you're going to see what happens to the bed right now. Now it actually takes the bed and it cuts it in half. So I'm going to center and arrange that. So my model is sitting right in the middle. Now, I don't want supports on this model, and we're going to go with pretty much the standard settings that I usually have. I have, let's see, my retraction is probably set a little too high, so I'll go back down to 5 on that. And top, bottom, everything the same. Just going to use that same skirt there. And speed is 70. And we are good. So now I'm going to prepare to print that. And we're going to change that back to feature type. So you can see it's going to be mostly blue. You'll see a little bit of green poking through just because of the different things that they are. So your solid layer here is what's showing up in green. All the perimeters are showing up in blue. So we've got the owl. We'll do a quick run through here. Just moving up. It's a lot of infill. Whatever, we'll leave it. That was my cat jumping up on my chair. And there we go. So now, when we go back to me on the camera, I'm going to show you how this works and how it prints 2 copies of the same thing. So stay tuned. Okay, so something they added in the new version of the T-Rex 3, which I think is a much, much better way of doing things, is you can just control this mode situation here on the screen. So if you go into IDEX mode, I am going to choose duplication. As soon as I do this, watch what happens. I'm going to get out of the way. So now, as you saw in the screencast, I took that bed that was basically cut in half, so it's only 200 millimeters this way, but still 400 and 500. These 2 extruders are now basically locked together, and they're gonna print 2 identical pieces. Just like this. In fact, it's these 2, because I already shot the time lapse. Shh, don't tell anybody, but watch it here. Okay, one more mode I want to show you. Mirror mode. What's different about these? They're not duplicate. They are opposite. That's mirror mode. This is a new feature they added in the T-Rex 3. This is not available in the T-Rex 2 Plus or the T-Rex 2. This is new and exciting and fancy. So it's actually pretty easy to do. It's pretty much the same way. I'm gonna come back around and show you how that one works. Go back into IDEX mode, and then just go to mirror. And it's gonna basically do the same thing. And now it's ready to print in mirror mode, except when it prints, you'll see in the screencast that, or in the time lapse, they're not, I don't need to explain this, you know what I'm talking about, you'll see it. Anyway, watch how I sliced it, and then watch the time lapse. Okay, and here's the last one. So we have our little fortune money cat guy, and we'll zoom in here a little bit so you can see him. So now we're gonna do the same thing, we're gonna add. Now, I'm gonna change this back to ditto mode because it's the same exact slicing profile that you use for either duplicate or mirror mode. But the difference is the way you set up the machine from the control panel on the actual machine, on the knob, on the LCD thing. Anyway, so we're gonna go okay. We'll center and arrange so we put it right where it's supposed to be. And we'll take a look at our little cat waving. Okay, so since we have all the settings, I am just going to prepare to print. Here, we'll do a quick top-down slice for you, or a bottom-up slice for you. Top view. No supports. And there's our cat. All right, there you have it. I really can't stress enough, and I know I said this in the other video, so go back and watch it if you didn't see it. I can't stress enough how much I love this machine. I've owned one for quite a while now, and I was ecstatic when we brought them into the store here. It's an amazing printer. It has every feature you could possibly want, or at least as far as I'm concerned, I could possibly want. I've upgraded a bunch of my other machines and spent more money to get something similar to this, and it's still not the same. So at the end of the day, you get what you pay for. So all the modes, so we have our standard, this was our stock slice. This is a slice that I did. Here's our dual extruder mode. Here's our duplicate mode. And here's our mirror mode. So it does all those things. We're gonna do some close-ups of these so you can see them and all that good stuff. And until next time, when I bring you another print video or another design video, because we've had enough build videos for a bit. This is Chris from Versus 3D at 3D Printed Canada. Don't forget, you gotta do this or this, and then subscribe and click the bell and do all the stuff, and have a good one.